every tree, every bird, every person, every animal, everything is what? No, it's not God. God is. It's not God. It's not, the bird is not God. But there would not be a bird if it wasn't for. You don't have to seek God. People say you must fall on your face and pray 5 times a day. If you don't fall on your face and don't pray 5 times a day, will God still be here? If you intend to do it but can't do it because you can't bend your back, will God accept?
Hatep, Yasar. We are live on WUNW Radio. We appreciate everyone tuning in. We will be preparing for this questions and answer series, legal updates, and a lot of basic information that Nuwaupians, our family, united Nuwaupian nation, should have in reference to our president's freedom. And it's important that we stay updated. That's the purpose of this radio station, this program particularly. So what we would like to do for a few minutes is several people on, but I think because of the last night's interrupted broadcasting because of technical difficulties, we want to spread the word that it was not due to any fault of WNW Radio. It was a broadcasting error from the server's end. So we want to apologize to anyone who anticipated the show and the question and answer sessions in reference to Ghana. But if you don't mind, next few minutes, we're going to send out again a blast email, text, Facebook, radio, however you would like to do it. We're going to announce it however you would like to announce it, or send it to your people. I meant to say email, not radio. If you want to send it email, again, blast it to the family so we can continue on legally updating all the nation in reference to Mumkak, Khamam, Aaqab, our President, Chief Black Eagle, His Excellency Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, our beloved President and of our Nuwaupian nation, whom we love and are fighting for his freedom every day, every hour. So we want to give the opportunity for those who hasn't tuned in or missed the first 2 shows, just give them an opportunity to tune in, if you don't mind, to email them, text them, Facebook, Twitter, phone call, however you would like to do it, text message. Please send it out and let them know we are on air. We'll be starting in a few minutes to get them prepared. Some people may be out. Some people may be waiting for confirmation that we are on. So please, if you can do the service to other fellow Nuwaupians to send them out that text. You're listening to Ambassador Duswa York, also known as Hawkeye, name given to myself by our President, Chief Black Eagle. And so we'll continue moving forward. We have some really important information, and just to stay connected with the family and stay connected with our tribe worldwide as we fight for our freedom. The master is not pleased right now with the behaviors. People are not. He's not pleased too much with the behaviors of just our nation in general, in reference to everything else being put in front of his freedom. He's not. That's not something that he is appreciative. There's a sister that just text and email just text. If anyone knows Angela Ambrose, she's a Facebook friend. She's trying to log on. Tell her she doesn't have to sign on. This is a lot of people under this assumption or that you have to be a member to listen to. You don't have to be a member. All you have to do is click the On Air Now radio section in the upper left-hand corner. So if anyone knows her, just send her a nice text to let her know, and everyone else, that we are on air, we are live, and we're going to pause for about 5 or 10 minutes so everyone can get everyone involved. Unfortunately, we're not recording tonight, so we're still perfecting our station, the support of the family. So we're definitely going to reiterate, and when it's available for listening again, we're going to air it. The chants will be played from the 24 elders at 9, so everyone can join in worldwide and chant to our Salafu, our ancestors, Panatharu. We will be able to join in worldwide and send that positive energy out. And so if you have any questions, please send them in to admin@WUNW Radio or DOOSUABA@yahoo.com. That's DOOSUA at DOOSUABA@yahoo.com. That's DOOSUABA. That's DUSWABA@yahoo.com, or admin@WUNW Radio. If your email is not accessible, simply text me at 404-825-3211. That's 404-825-3211. That's for immediate responses from the family. If you would like to say you're not hearing anything, or if you would like to let us know that the sound is down, or a quick question you would like, just please do that. Let's stay involved. And we do have some updates from yesterday's visit. Not much, but enough to set the record straight as far as our behaviors in our nation and our influence and movements. We would like definitely to let the family know that we have to put our father's freedom first. A lot of us are involved in other aspects of WUNW, but we're not involved in his freedom, and it's saddening because there's a lot of positive energy. Not saying that those are not priorities. They are. The language is priority. Our culture is priority. Our family is priority. Those are priorities in our life. But our main priority is to make sure that we free our father, or we have no future. And that has to be reiterated. And we are at war. There's a lot of, in a sense of declaration, declaring our sovereignty into the world, and making it known that we are standing up for who we are as Native Americans, Yamasee, our culture, our descendancy as indigenous people on this land, indigenous people of the Americas, the bloodline of those descendants of the tribes, the Creek Nation tribes that has known to exist throughout the southeastern Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and moving on up, migrating into northern areas where a lot of the Yamasee tribes and Creek Nation fled, and the Trail of Tears. And our chief, who is a direct descendant of indigenous peoples here and in Ghana, Africa, where you will see the historical link between the Ghanaian Yamasee, which they do exist. You can look it up. We'll address that as well, and our father's bloodline stemming to Ghana back to the Dongolawe, who are the Sudanese, who also fought against the British in the 1800s, along with the Yamasee, who fought against the British in South Carolina and Georgia. And now we are still fighting against the descendants of the British again, as we fight in these courts, the domestic courts, and the fight and let the world know about the injustices of our chief sitting constitutional seated president. We want to make that, you have to certain words that he wants emphasized. So it's important that we make sure that we stay tuned. So like I said, I'm going to pause for about 10 minutes, maybe 5, so you can spread the information, let people know that we are on. And we appreciate all the support. We appreciate everyone listening in and cooperating and sending in your questions. So please send in your questions so we can continue with the show. And it's 7:15, maybe around 7:20, 7:25. We give it about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, where everyone can log on and not miss anything, because people log on late and they miss things and they want it repeated and things of that nature. Well, it's a lot of information that comes through this radio station. There's a lot of legal documentation that's read. There's a lot of updates and a lot of information that a lot of the Nuwaupian Nation family just don't know, which causes a lot of us to create our own conclusions and fill in the blanks, which we erroneously do, and we do this. This is a pattern of people, and at times it can harm harm the facts as opposed to waiting for the facts. It can harm your thinking and how we proceed, and it defeats the unity. So we want to make sure that everyone is unified by knowing exactly what's going on and answering all the questions. So like I said, we're going to pause for a few minutes, and please send out the text, emails, Twitter, Facebook, calls, whatever you have to do to encourage other Nuwaupians to join and to listen in, so they can get the proper information and the legal updates, the latest from Pamanzal, our president, His Excellency, our beloved Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who we're fighting so hard to free from the hands of the beast. And we will accomplish this at the rate we're going, as long as we step up and make sure that we all stay unified with love. Technical difficulties, and be mindful, family, that this station, we're going to go up and beyond our way to start on time, because we've had a pattern of being known not to start on time, and technical difficulties and things of that nature. So we want to make sure we perfect our media outlets as to eliminate any frustrations on the behalf of for the people. We want to eliminate any frustrations that some people go out their way to tune in, etc. And we don't start on time. I know there's a lot of people who get a lot of family members who are discouraged. So we don't want that to take place. We want to make sure that we are always on time and doing our due diligence to inform the people and update everyone, as the email said, legally, to update them on the legal aspects of our nation and our tribe, and make this a priority. Unfortunately, we're not, our behaviors as far as involving ourselves in our culture, WUNW is a great thing. It's not unfortunate, it's a great thing. It is a great thing, but unfortunately it's not the top of our priority right now, and I think that needs to be emphasized, and it will be emphasized, that our masters, our fathers, our president's freedom is first and foremost, and that has to be driven home, because we love Patrak, we love the actual facts, we love the inexhaustible information, the unlimited doctrine that comes through our Father to us, and we have to really take into consideration that if we all fought as hard on his freedom then we will have much more. We will all be free. We can't really express our culture and express who we are as a tribe, as a nation, without our president. And we are looking at 2012, where in July, you have August, September, October, and November, with 4 months to December 2012. And this is a day where it's been talked about for thousands of years. And we have 4 months for this day. We know that June 26 was one of the dates that our father said that he would not spend another birthday in there. And because of the fight and what's being presented and laid out in the international community, international world, then, it made him tell us that he's going to continue fighting. He's not going to give up. And that's a redemption for us, and should make all of us happy that he has decided to stay amongst us. But at the same time, we cannot continue to be complacent with his incarceration. It's been 11 years, yes, but at no given point should we be complacent with our everyday lives, with our activities, our patterns during the day. We shouldn't be complacent or satisfied with what we have and what's going on in our lives, because we have the person, the being, who's responsible for our existence, our mind, our consciousness, the non-ether, the level of non-ether, non-mind expansion that's been taking place in the transformation amongst us. He's responsible for that, and we have to give our existence, our total devotion back to him, to free him, because it's just not universally just for us to keep continuing going on through our lives, ignoring the injustices, the torture that's going on every day. Right now, at this moment, he's sitting inside of a cell, just there. And that bothers. I know it bothers me. It bothers those who are fighting. It bothers Nuwaupians who love and care, and we have to make sure that that's the focus of getting him out of that situation, regardless of what people have to say worldwide in our nation and try to frivolously create small arguments or small complaints or anything that's so insignificant it can be settled with the small communication, which we're doing now. A lot of our problems will be solved through communication, open lines of media, our created media, where we can continue to talk and find solutions and move forward in our breaking through of breaking into that rock to pull him out of there. It takes a lot of mental power and mental focus, and I think that's very important that we stay focused, as is always emphasized, to get him out of that situation. He's saying that a lot of people are putting our culture, WUNW, and things in front of his freedom, and it's just not fair. And so, this is not a chastisement or a coming down on our nation. This is just an expression of what we need to be concerned about, and words coming from him, as he just recently stated that we have this snake by the head. But an example of that is that you can capture a snake by the head, but his body can wrap around you and smother you and kill you. And so we don't want to be happy with just having him by the head. We want to make sure that we eliminate all of the injustices through truth, facts, and acknowledgement of our and the promotion of our sovereignty, our self-governance, our self-determination. Nothing can be done to us or against us without our free, prior, and informed consent. And these are things that are drafted in the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, which is a focal point in our freedom in this fight, as he calls it, the good fight. And that good fight is established on those principles and of that declaration, which the U.S. just recently accepted, and Canada as well just recently accepted, though those last administrations kept from signing as signatories when the General Assembly convened for the acceptance of the declaration. You had the U.S. under the last administration that didn't sign on. Not saying that it's not effective. The declaration, it is by accepted in the international community and international world, and indigenous people, the 370 million indigenous people worldwide, of which we are a part of. We have to make that declaration and make sure we stand on that. But significantly, with our case, we're one of the only cases, actually, from our research, the only case where we allow our sitting president of a constitutionally seated president, because we have a constitution and we voted him in under our constitution, and we accepted the bylaws and articles of our constitution. So with that being said, we want to acknowledge, we want to let the world know that he is not only the chief of the Yamasee Native Americans of the Creek Nation, Seminole Wichita Mound Builders, but he's also constitutionally seated, drafted by the peoples of the Yamasee, Gentoo people. That's what they called us, the Gentoo people, because of our interaction with the settlers and Confederates. That's what they called us, and we were known by that, Yamasee or Yamasee, and which does have its ties to Ghana. And another thing which we want to address specifically tonight, but we want to also reiterate the things that we touched over, the topics that we went over the last 2 days, or prior Thursday and Friday. We missed Saturday. And we want to thank a lot of participants, the brother, especially I want to thank the brother Hakeem Kasim, who emailed some words from our father, sent to him in a letter a few years ago. The words are still powerful, of course, they still stand. And when the line of communication with our president of the nation was open, fortunately, I feel really blessed and happy. Not necessarily happy in the sense that I'm able to write and communicate, but it's a privilege and an honor to be able to have some line of communication with our president and be responsible for getting his words out effectively. And I think that in our nation there's been issues in the past where a lot of our family was not getting updates, and those that were concerned felt frustrated again. So we want to eliminate those frustrations. But we do have some information and a few letters that came from him recently in this last few weeks, actually few days, and a little information from the visit. But the majority of the visit on Saturday was all his legal aspect. He expressing that we have so much that we have to move now. So I want to make this statement on the air to the family that for the next week or so, that's what I'll particularly be doing, strictly his legal work. I'll abstain from working and answering the phone and any other outside social activities. I'll be focused strictly on at the embassy where we are. Where this actually is broadcasted in the back of the embassy office space. I don't know if anyone that know that this the embassy is the home of the WUNW radio station, as well as we have a recording studio here, which we record our commercials and different sounds that goes on the station, and any advertisements and things for our nation can be done here. If you can just give us a call or whatever, if that's something that you're interested in, to as we rebuild. This is important in our rebuilding. And so we want to say that here particularly, that's what we will be doing for the next 2 weeks until this paperwork that's needed to get to the right personnel. There's a lot of paperwork that has to go out. There's a lot of drafting of documentation in reference to our father's paper trail, the paper trail that he laid out for this fight. So we have to get everything in perspective, which a lot of paperwork we will go over. But I mean, we just have time to talk and discuss our avenues and talk about this good fight that everyone needs to be involved with and everyone needs to be updated with, so you can properly defend your nation. The legal merits of what we're stating, eliminate the confusion and the questions. Not eliminate the questions. We want to maintain an open line of questions, so it'll be transparent. A lot of the past hasn't been any transparency as far as involvement of our nation and tribe. So we want to make sure that I would like personally to make sure in my particular situation that I'm available at the service of the people, as I was told to do, to set the record straight and get everyone involved. And until I'm told otherwise, I'll continue to do that. So I'll make myself available 2 or 3 times a week to update the family and keep motivation. We got a lot of emails where individuals said, yes, I'm motivated by what's going on. It's a rekindling of our spirit, as the Master's putting out in a lot of the affirmation. This is the double resurrection that's taking place. He calls it, our new symbol is the Aaqab, and it's the new symbol, the Ankh, with the double arms on it, so to speak. And I don't know if anyone has seen it. It's a beautiful symbol, and it will be worn at the time that he decides for it to be worn, for those, at his discretion, or when it's time and decided by him. But it's a beautiful symbol, and we're in that day and time. That double resurrection is amongst us. So we want to stay focused, both physically and spiritually. And so, like I said, again, I wanted to thank the brother Hakeem for sending it. And it goes, it's dated June 5th, 2009. It's an excerpt from a letter that the brother Hakeem Qasim received from the Master. And it's in what I'm looking at is that there's some questions that some people have asked. Show me where Dr. York stated his international status as a Liberian or Ghanaian in pretrial transcripts or pretrial affirmation. Well, we have several documentations where one, well, let's just address what our father addressed. He said the Napata is Dogala or Dongalawe. For those that remember the Dongalawe tribes, or the tribe of Sudan, the same seed, the tribe of Judah or Yahuda or Hude or Hadi, where the word Mahdi comes from, which means guide. That word stems from the word Huda or Hadi or Yahuda, meaning guide, because these tribes were the guiding tribes. These tribes were the tribes of Sudan, which means land of the blacks, 2 blacks, which was initially the name of the entire continent of Africa. So he said that the Dongalawe tribe of Sudan, the same seed as the Ghana's U, are Khan people. These are Khan people, the same tribes of the descendants of the Sudanese. So it's the same seed, that same tribe. When he says he comes out of Ghana, that's the pure seed of the Dongalawe that stem from the Sudanese or the Napatans, who migrated and established themselves in the old kingdoms across the Sahara that migrated into West Africa, and Ghana stemmed all the way from what you call the modern area of Ghana, stemmed all the way up into the Malian Empire, all the way up across the Sahara into the Sudan, and under the Sahara through Nigeria up into West Africa as well. So the migrations of our people stem from that root seed out of the Sudanese, the black seed, same seed that is of the U people and the Akan. And the master says, for those who think I made that long awaited mistake, not. So, for those that, like he said in this letter, in this excerpt, which we have, which the brother has, he has the original. For those who think that I made that long-awaited mistake, not. We are always on point, protected by the highest. What fools these mortals be! I know what I'm doing. Look at them. Nothing else to do with their lives. Well, I thought he said he was from Sudan, the Dongolawe tribe. Now it's Ghana and Akan. What's up with that? Same tribe. Same truth, son. They are so funny. Here I am locked up, and they are still trying to prove me wrong. Sad. So sad. So these are the words from Pamanzal. When you hear that, you'll see that he's never mistaken, ever. And the problem with American Negroes is that they're always judging and trying to confirm things that our master says with the Caucasus books and his authority. So they go by and say, well, Ghana is a specific area about the size of Oregon in West Africa. No, it wasn't. If you look at the old maps, Ghana extended all the way up. There was a Ghanaian kingdom, and it wasn't drawn and limited until colonization in the late 18 and 1900s. So Ghana extended all the way up into the Sudan, across the Sahara, from the west coast of Africa as well as from the southeastern travels of the Bassa and the Napata tribes. And if you go back to the older letters, 2005, 2006, you'll see how the master explained that these tribes had migrated, and they eventually mixed in and settled into the Bassa tribe of Bassa people out of Liberia, as well as the Aaqab people out of Ghana. These are titles. These are not who they were. It was the titles or names of the actions of the individual tribes. At Bassa, if you look at the Bassa people, they were known as hard workers. They worked extremely hard. And if you know, the master name at one time was Baba Bawaba Africa. So let's establish that and it put on record what he's saying. Again, I'll read it again. The Napata is Dongolawe tribe of Sudan, same seed from Ghana's Akan. For those who think I made that long-awaited mistake, not. We are always on point, protected by the highest. What fools these mortals be. So that needs to be posted, that particular statement, what fools these mortals be, by trying to prove the master wrong. Even while he's incarcerated, he still knows what he's doing. For those that have simply forgot, as these books, as he's always reminded us, that he's always reminded us that people tend to forget, the forgetful Enoshites. We tend to forget, so we have to be reminded constantly over and over, and it has to be reiterated. So that Ghana, the Ghanaian tribes that he stems out of is the same people. And the same, what's funny is that if you just do a little research, you'll see that the Jamasi is in the same area. The Jamasi people, it's a tribe in Africa, in Ghana, which we'll address. Let me get you some information real quick on the Jamasi. There's an excerpt from, it's called The Empires of Western Sudan, also sent by the brother again, with some additional information to show that this is something that you can research if you just take the time to add to what we have and assist to what the master's doing, as opposed to those who are out there trying to go against the forces. It's an article, if you want to refer to the articles, Google, what have you. The Hilbram Timeline of Art History. The area known as the Western Sudan encompasses the broad expanse of the savanna and stretches down between the vast Sahara Desert to the north and tropical rainforest of the Guinea coast to the south. Its name comes from Bilad al-Sudan, which means the land of blacks. The term used by those Arab travelers, which were really the Muslims who traveled, the Berbers who traveled inside of the land of the blacks to enslave those indigenous people and influence them with their religious indoctrination, as you find throughout the western coast of Africa. You'll see that there's a lot of distorted Islamic groups that have settled inside of those West African countries, because the whole area, even down into Ghana and Mali, so Ghana would be considered Sudan because it's the land of the blacks, and Mali will be considered Ghana because they were warrior kings all throughout those tribes. So it was a tribal affiliation, not more so territorial. It was more so tribal, and the bloodline and the descendants of those tribes. So no, we're not mistaken when we say he's Native American, because American did not come from, it was not a name that we had for this land that we lived on. We knew that our family descendants and bloodline was across the waters. So you cannot be separated. The only thing separating those people, the indigenous people of West Africa, from the indigenous people of Native America was water. That's it. It was the water. The culture was the same. If you look at the practices of Native Americans and set the record straight, you see that the practice of Native Americans with the aprons and the feathers and the acknowledgement of animism, which is the worship of your ancestors, stem back to ancient Tamare all throughout the continent. So why are people trying to punch holes in what our Father is setting out for us? Kobina means Tuesday born, and it is stemming from the language, native language of Africa. Everyone knows any one of us can have a name attributed to us based on the day we were born. So it's not distinctively or exclusive cultural practices for just Ghanaians. It's a practice that acknowledgement on the particular day you were born, you would assume or take on the name in that particular culture. But that culture is stemmed through all out of the indigenous peoples of that land over here, from the Jamasi in Ghana to the Yamasi over here, the Seminoles and the Creek nations that we had, that the U.S. had treaties with in the 1700s to establish peaceful relationships and the acknowledgement of our land, and the treaty can be looked up. They acknowledge Altamaha, which was the land of the Yamasee Native Americans, which we are the bloodline and the descendants of, and we gathered under our chief, seating him in as our president. So all of it ties in, and we are protected by the highest, as he says. So I'll address a few of the questions that has come in, a few questions that's come in. Maybe there's a few questions that have come in. One of the questions is, it's not related too much towards Ghana, but so we'll address that. We'll address that afterwards. I just wanted to acknowledge that we did receive your email, Shepses Sin Menez. He's in the UK, and we want to address his question concerning Baba's freedom. And there's also a question in reference to the ledgers, which we will address as well. Where we picked up last, I think where we left off last in reference to Ghana was where Ghana was as far as their negotiation and attempts to negotiate the treaty, a transfer for our president back to Ghana. And what was being explained is that certain laws govern this transfer. Now, with the U.S. and 53 other countries, they have joined what you will call, what we would call, they called it, and you refer to it as, it's called the Treaty 112, the Transfer of Convicted Persons. If you look it up, you can Google it, I'm sure. It says it's under the Treaty 112, the Transfer of Convicted Persons. Pardon me, that's my phone. I'll silence it. The Transfer of Convicted Persons. And basically what this treaty is, this treaty says that, pull it up real quick so we can read briefly over it. And make sure you follow it and you look it up yourselves. It's a treaty open. It's a treaty open for signature by member states and non-member states of this council. Now, this council is called the Council of Europe, not to be mistaken with the European Council, but the Council of Europe is a organization that reflects the location of the council, not necessarily the body of the council, just the location. Though there are European countries, other countries are signatory states, and other countries are states which are non-members that have signed on to particular treaties. There's several treaties in this council. One of the treaties is the Treaty 112, and this is the treaty that the U.S. has decided to inform the government of Ghana to engage in for the purposes of the transferring of convicted Ghanaian prisoners or citizens or nationals of Ghana, because they do not engage in bilateral treaties. The bilateral treaty that the the government of Ghana has engaged with several countries. It's called treaty. It's an, hold on, pardon me. A lot of documentation around. Just want to make sure I have everything in front of me. It's called the 743rd Act of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And it's this act, it's the Transfer of Convicted Persons Act 2007, an act to facilitate the transfer of convicted persons from the Republic to another country and from another country to the Republic for the purpose of serving a prison term and to provide for connected purposes. And in this act, there's several stipulations that's necessary. For one, in Section 3, a request by a convicted person, the person convicted of an offense in a country other than Ghana may apply to the Attorney General through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for an arrangement to be made with the competent authority of the sentencing country for that person to be transferred to Ghana to serve out the remaining term of imprisonment of the convict. Now, the question, of course, is: does our president, if this one of his ways out, which we have, there's many ways that he's going to get out. So don't think that you can figure out which way he decides. So there's multiple fronts, and that's what we want to ensure the people that there is a strong freedom fight that's been going on for years. And this act is enclosed behind closed doors. There are talks in reference to his freedom and the conclusions and the resolutions that these governments have come up with. We have been there for the talks and the part of the negotiating process. So an application, part 2 says, an application shall be made in writing, signed by the convict or the lawful attorney of the convict, and shall be submitted with particulars specified in subsection 2 of section 2. So this was done. We have our president does have a Ghanaian attorney over there. He's been working with us for years. And the question, back to the question that will our president be free if he's transferred back to Ghana? Well, the draconian laws that are established here in the U.S., or the draconian sentence that was handed down by Judge C. Ashley Royals, of course, was unconstitutional. And under their constitution, it was cruel and inhumane punishment, simply because a RICO Act and the charges of transporting minors across state lines is unheard of. That's the first time that charge has been tried in federal courts. A lot of people don't know that. So to sentence someone to 135 years, of course, the Ghanaian government looked at that and saw that it was definitely draconian, obscene. It was absurd to sentence someone to 135 years, a 60-year-old man being sentenced to that amount of time. At the time, he was 59. In 2004, he was sentenced. And so what Ghana is saying is that they are not infringing in the U.S.'s judicial system because of Ghana's position and their excellent diplomatic relations that they've maintained throughout the world, the international community. They have great diplomatic relations with all countries, which is one of the reasons why their president of the U.S., Obama, went there, because of the democratic establishment, their government, and their peaceful transition from one government to the next. It became an icon in Africa. Ghana is an icon of peaceful governmental transitions, clear
clean voting strategies and mechanisms where those mechanisms are set up where there's no conflict and the transferring of power from one president to the next. So Ghana is an icon in the international community and in Africa itself as far as its governing body, its government is concerned, and the people's satisfaction with how the government moves and the policies and the programs set up for its people. So Ghana has does not and has established itself as in their decision making is not to infringe upon the jurisdiction of the U.S. and its judicial system. So we know that we talked about in the previous program that what does happen is if a prisoner or a convict is transferred from a country to Ghana, their sentence will be reduced based on the comparison of time that each country has. If the U.S., for instance, let's go to the UK or the United Kingdom or Canada, that those countries. I'm not sure if Canada has a transfer treaty, but the UK definitely has a transfer treaty. It's a bilateral agreement with Ghana. They say, well, if you committed an armed robbery in the UK and you're sentenced to 10 years, and an armed robbery in Ghana is 5 years, then that 5-year sentence will apply. And if that convict in the UK, say, served out 5 years, then they will have time served once they're under the jurisdiction of the Ghanaian government. So the equivalent law in the U.S. in Ghana is that they have no RICO, but they do have tax laws. So an equivalent charge will be replaced with the RICO charge that the U.S. attached to our president. And the time is definitely much lower. In fact, it's under 10 years. Our president served 11 years so far. So that's why it's important that you know that the Ghanaian government is not going to say we have to serve out 135 years, because they would never have given anyone 135 years for the type of charges, the alleged crimes that have been said to have been committed by our president. They would never have given a Ghanaian that amount of time. So that's definitely something that is in the works, and the reason why the U.S. did not engage in the bilateral agreement, let's establish that, is because they no longer engage in bilateral agreements. They only engage in multilateral agreements. And the multilateral agreement is, one of the agreements is the Treaty 112 that the U.S. is a party to. Now there's other countries that are a party to this same treaty. No African countries are a part of this treaty, including Ghana. So Ghana would have to accept the treaty in order for our president to be a part of this transfer. You have countries like Finland, Cyprus, Denmark, Hungary, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Russia, Serbia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, the Ukraine, United Kingdom, Greece, Bosnia, Austria. Those are member parties of the Council of Europe, meaning they are parties to that council, but then you also have non-member states of the council, meaning they signed on to the treaty, but they're not a member of the council itself. That has to be emphasized in international law and international treaties and conventions. Some countries are parties of the different councils, like the Charter, like the United Nations. United Nations, you have countries that are members of the United Nations. They're seated, they have seats there. And you have other nations that do not have, they're not members of the United Nations. Though they have seats there, they're not members. They're just acknowledged as sovereign nations that are not members to the charter. Such a lot of indigenous tribes are, a lot of indigenous people that have been in existence before the charter. Okay. So we want to make sure that that's established and everyone knows what's going on with Ghana. It is international diplomacy involved, family. This is not like, okay, yes, these are governmental bodies that have to sit down and talk, negotiate through appointed personnel that have jobs in the international community that can implement such treaties and implement such negotiations. And this sometimes take time. So it's not something that it has stopped. Ghana is still moving. A lot of people, I know because I'm personally involved in personal communication with the U.S. government as well as Ghana. And this is why I know the facts, and this is why we're sharing these facts so you will know. Now, so with this acknowledgement that they don't involve themselves in any more bilateral agreements, this multilateral treaty Ghana has to engage in order for the U.S. to negotiate. Now, what happens once Ghana joins, then Ghana will be able to communicate and have transfers with all the other countries that are part of the treaty. Once everyone is a part of the treaty, once Ghana is a part of the treaty, they'll be able to transfer citizens from all of the signatory countries. And that's why the U.S. said that it doesn't any longer involve themselves in bilateral agreements, though there are bilateral agreements that the U.S. have already established. These were years ago in the 80s. I think the last one was in 89, I'm not sure. But you can look that up as well. You can find out how many bilateral agreements do the U.S. have, and you'll find out that they don't do bilateral agreements. One is because it's costly. The reason why it's costly is because if the U.S. does bilateral agreements with every country, there'll be hundreds of bilateral agreements, and all of them will stipulate different, they'll have different factors involving them. There'll be different laws established that will have to govern the treaty themselves, and it would take a lot of time. So this Treaty 112 is much more efficient. It's easier, and it's not as perfected as they would like. Which is, if you research it, you'll find out there are different constraints and issues referencing it, mainly more so language barriers between, say, a country like Switzerland and Chile. If a Switzerland national was incarcerated in Chile, and say a Chilean was incarcerated in Swiss, there may be an issue between the documentation as far as having a translator and acknowledgement of the various laws and establishing the request of each state, how it wants to deal with that particular convict being transferred. So those things do take some time, and some countries have known to take longer in transfers than others. But when you're dealing with, and nowadays they're saying that the things have improved. So it takes typically a few months for a signatory state to be signed on to the council. And Ghana put itself out there in fighting for our president. They have acknowledged him. They've accepted. They negotiated. And I'm going to read a letter from the United States government addressed to us in regards to Ghana engagement in the treaty. It says, and this is coming from the United States. I'm not going to say the department or what have you. Some things I'll leave out. The negotiation of a bilateral treaty can take many years. And the expenditure of extensive resources with no guarantee of an eventual agreement. The United States invites countries interested in prisoner transfer relationships with the United States to join one of the two multilateral conventions to which the United States is already a party to. The Council of Europe's Convention on the Transfer of Sentenced Persons, or the Organization of American States Inter-American Convention on Serving Criminal Sentences Abroad. Please note, however, that the procedures for acceding to each of the two conventions mentioned above is not identical, and Ghana must consider these procedures in deciding how to proceed. Additionally, it must be emphasized that while joining either of the existing multilateral treaties would create the legal framework for prisoner transfers, Ghana officials may contact our office in D.C. We will also pass along your information below to U.S. officials in Ghana for their information. There's other information that I'll leave out because it's sensitive. So I'll just touch with that to show you that Ghana and the U.S. are involved. So they're encouraging, and through our negotiations and talks, they have encouraged us to involve ourselves, which me particularly in reference in communication, to establish with Ghana to let them know about this transfer, this Council of Europe, this transfer treaty, etc. So you can get a basic idea of where we are. Now, Ghana definitely accepted the invitation, but the problem, it is not a problem. We just want to have other support with Ghanaian prisoners, which we have contacted. Our government, the United Nuwaupian Nation, there's hundreds of Ghanaians in prison in the U.S. who has petitioned for the Ghanaian government to do the same thing, to engage in this transfer treaty. We have the documentation. The Ghanaian prisoners have reached out to us. Not only have they reached out to us expressing that Ghana engages in this treaty, the Council of Europe, the Treaty 112, they've also expressed that the U.S. has violated their rights to their communication to their embassy and their council. So we have those violations on record as well. So we have them. So contrary, so we just want to update people so you can cover, just in case you have a lot of interest, to shut people up, because we're not having at this time anybody trying to sabotage our Father's freedom. That's why it's important that everyone tune in so they can be updated on what's going on. And as you can hear, these documents are definitely right in front of me. In our government, we have them. And the United States and Ghana is involving themselves with that. But we want to support Ghana by showing them that there are other Ghanaians in in the U.S. incarcerated that has reached out that says, yes, this is something that all Ghanaians would like to be involved with, incarcerated in the U.S., because they know that there are injustices here as well. And their family members are involved with, in supporting this transfer treaty. Not only do we have petitions from Ghanaians incarcerated in the U.S., there are Ghanaians incarcerated that sent us, and as a matter of fact, let me read that for you, so no stone will be left unturned when it comes to the facts that we're putting out to show the world that we are on the move and we will free them. Let me just read to you a petition from, we're going to read two petitions from prisoners. We're going to read petitions from Ghanaian prisoners incarcerated in the U.S. and we're going to read U.S. citizens incarcerated in Ghana that have petitioned for the U.S. to engage in a prisoner transfer with Ghana as well. So not only do we have Dr. Malachi York as a Ghanaian descendant requesting his parallel government or his sister government to transfer him back to Ghana, we also have United States citizens who I personally visited in Ghana, in Nsuwan prison. I went into prison as an ambassador of the United Nuwaupian Nation, sat down with United States prisoners, females as well as males, that have, and hired them an attorney that petitioned to the U.S. and to Ghana to ask them to involve themselves in this treaty. This is a notarized, that I have in front of me, a notarized document from a Ghanaian incarcerated in the U.S. Hold on. Actually, this is a Liberian in front of me. Let me get the Ghanaian. His name is, let me read you his name. And he sent it from, what facility is this? He's incarcerated in Ohio. He's incarcerated in Butler County, Ohio. And he wrote us on June 12th, 2012. He is a Ghanaian national. Greetings to you all. I'm going to read his letter. I thank you for responding to my letter and for the petition forms. I'll just briefly go over it. In 2010, I was incarcerated in one of Ohio's institutions called Madison Correction. 2 white officers assaulted me, harassed, and discrimination. I'm suffering from a disc in my spine and through my neck. He filed an 1983 civil suit. I don't know if this is not a 1903 civil suit against them, and because he didn't have a lawyer to take his case, the court wanted to dismiss the civil suit. And he's asking us if there's any way you can get me a lawyer to take this case in the U.S. District Court in Columbus, Ohio. I would have greatly appreciated. I was treated very bad simply because I'm African. I have enclosed some details about the civil action and what I want to do. I wrote to the Ohio State Bar Association to get me a lawyer to take my case, but have not yet heard anything from them. Once again, I really thank you, your organization, for assisting me in all matters. He's talking about the organization, the Diaspora African Forum, the United Nuwaupian Nation. The public defender who represented me in court contacted the embassy in D.C., Ghanaian embassy, and he was told to dismiss all my charges because there was no evidence against me. I have enclosed a copy of the motion to dismiss in the letter. Thank you again for helping me. I'm hoping to hear from the United Nuwaupian Nation very soon. His name is Kofi Geyeke, number 565381, ACI, P.O. Box 4501, Lima, Ohio. So we are working here. This is a letter. This is one of the hundreds of letters that we got from African nationals in support of what we're doing in assistance. And this is a recent letter. And his petition is in line with our father's freedom. And let me read it It says, I, Kofi Gayeke, as a foreign national of the state of Ghana, West Africa, having been incarcerated for 5 years, 10 months, and 10 days, make the claim. No, this is not. This is another. Sorry. This is the petition. That's another petition. This is the petition for the transfer. That petition I was reading was his violation of rights of foreign nationals, as a foreign national. But his petition for transfer says, and request to the government of Ghana to engage in a multilateral treaty convention on the transfer of sentenced persons. I, Kofi Gayeke, an incarcerated foreign national, have hereby submitted on my own accord a petition of request to the good government of the state of Ghana to engage in the multilateral treaty of the Convention of Transfer of Sentenced Persons, Treaty number 112 of the Council of Europe, upon which 64 other countries have signed on to, with the objectives from each signatory state of this treaty is not to deprive deprive foreigners of the liberty resulting from a criminal offense, the opportunity to serve the rest of their sentences within their own society. With this objective in mind, the resolution agreed upon by member states and of the Council of Europe and of the signatory member states and non-member states of this treaty recognize that the way this aim can be achieved is by having them transferred to their own countries. Thus, as an incarcerated foreign national, I implore my country and government to, on the behalf and in respects to its national, engage in Treaty 112 of the Council of Europe, the Convention of the Transfer of Sentenced Persons. This request will allow myself the same opportunity. This engagement will also render your sentenced nationals the equal opportunity that all other nationals have, the ability to serve out the rest of their time in their own country, enabling a better opportunity for social rehabilitation. It is upon these facts that I submit this petition in all respect and honor due to the government, Council General, and Consular Post, the embassies and governmental personnel of the state of Ghana upon which this petition is being submitted. Signature of petition, Kofi Gayeke. And it was dated 6/14/2012. So in our hands, we have several of these petitions from Ghanaians, along with the petition that our president submitted to his government in Ghana, which they received. They also received this Ghanaian petition amongst others that we have received, that we submitted to Ghana, that request, all of these Ghanaians are requesting a transfer. Y'all understand? So it's very clear this is all legal and public documentation. So the government is well aware of their Ghanaians that are asking for this transfer. So this is the work that's been done by your nation that everyone should be involved with and everyone should engage in, if nothing else other than just staying informed like we are now, which is why this is the purpose of this broadcast. Now, also, we want to let you know that there's hundreds of foreign nationals that have reached out to our nation. We have a petition from a Liberian by the name of Augustine Gittins, and he's in Ohio as well, and he's requesting the Liberian government to engage in a treaty transfer. Of course, this will the reason why these petitions were drawn up and these foreign nationals submitted it is because we found out that there's a gross violation of Africans incarcerated, that because they haven't had contact with their embassy, the U.S. has violated hundreds of foreign national rights. And we have those cases with us. right here in our hands. And this is where they can't get around it. Because if you're saying that these foreign nationals, by the Convention of Diplomatic Relations in Geneva in 1963 and 62, that they have a right, our foreign nationals and the embassies, the government of these foreign nationals, has a right to contact them without delay. And these men and women have been incarcerated for 5 and 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and they have never had contact with their embassy. These embassies do not even know that these foreign nationals are incarcerated. And this was something that was emphasized in New York. When we went to New York and we told the family there, and they were involved with writing. Some of you listening were involved with writing some of these foreign nationals. And these foreign nationals contacted us and stated that, you're right, the U.S. violated my rights as well. So our government has a tremendous amount of leverage, and a massive amount of cases against the U.S. in reference to these foreign nationals' rights being violated. And we have it documented. So this all ties in to our father's freedom, because these Ghanaians are petitioning the same way he is petitioned to the government, because the Ghanaian government has acknowledged that they will engage in this. They did acknowledge that they would engage in the treaty between the U.S. These petitions will force them to engage in Treaty 112 because they have their other nationals are encouraging it as well, and Ghana undoubtedly will engage because of the interests of all of these foreign nationals. So we want to make that clear on that sense, and as far as the transfer. So this is where we are with it. So just to establish in the minds of our family and the nation that Ghana is still on the move. We're still there. And we're that close. That's why we have all these forces coming out and trying to stop what we're doing and stop the communication and stop people from getting updated and divert their attention. But those that are listening, I hope that you're very clear on where we are with it. And if you have any questions, please just email really quick, Twitter us. I rarely track Twitter, but we have followers that jump on Twitter all the time, and they use that as a source of social media. And we are WUNW Radio. That's our Twitter account. So if you have any questions through Twitter, you can do that as well. So I hope this is clear and where we are with the transfer. And so it's very promising where we are, and it's factual. I mean, it's theirs. It doesn't get any clearer than that. And we're not going to present anything that's not factual on this station. There's no speculation. No one will be able to say, well, what's going on? You should have a very clear understanding of what's going on after these broadcasts and continued broadcasts. Okay, let's get to a question. I think there's a question that came in from Trinidad, my beloved family out there. I want to give a shout out to Trinidad for their support. We went out to Trinidad a few weeks ago. And we addressed the family. That was one of the first places we went. It was a large amount. It was a tremendous support. The brother Amun Sinbik from Ramos number 27, CPAT Trinidad. They're here in Trinidad, and they said they're proud of the excellent work, and we appreciate that. We work hard here. I work hard. Family members are working hard. Our nation is working hard, and you all are working hard. So a round of applause to Trinidad as well for being closely connected with our president and closely connected with the indigenous tribes of Yamasee Native Americans, of which they are descendants of as well, being that the Native American Almac tribe their seed stemmed from those Yamasee people tribes as well, of which our president is the seated chief of those tribes, the descendants of the Yamasee and other tribal Native American nations there, Wichita, Mound Builders, as well as the Seminole and Creek nations. So we want to make sure that Trinidad gets the love that they deserve. They're a very strong nation out there. I love the vibe. We are well connected. They always support the causes, and they have one of the most beautiful CPACs in our nation. They in their exiling and establishing themselves there, they have rebuilt our cultural practices and rebuilt the lodges under our president's command, and rebuilt the order, our sacred orders, and they are spreading the doctrine. They are unified, and as well as London, if the UK is tuned in, we want to give a shout out to our brother Amun out there, who is doing an excellent job with the family. And these are key individuals who in Barbados as well. We don't want to forget Barbados. I love Barbados. We have to go out there as well. Barbados is waiting for us to update. Being that we just got back from Geneva, the travels and the work is difficult to fit in everything in our schedule, but we're doing our best to get out there, as well as to Jamaica. Love Jamaica, brothers, family members out there who are spread. Our families, you can see, our tribe is spread worldwide. Our nation has been dispersed from the U.S. committing that forcible transfer of the population of our indigenous people. So we want all of you who are dispersed, you want to make sure that it's on record, which we are through our ledgers and through our communication, that y'all acknowledge that y'all are victims of what has taken place. And the international community knows that, and it was put on record, as you asked, as was asked by our president. He specifically wanted in our travels when I went to Geneva, Switzerland. And the reason why I have a habit of saying ours, because when I go out there, I think about our nation, our family. Though I did travel by myself, I didn't feel as though I was by myself because of the support of the nation. So when I say we, I'm saying all of us. When we went out there, we did put it on record of the victims, the 30,000 tribal nation, and our retained sovereignty that we always had, always will have, regardless if any nation acknowledge it. Though they have acknowledged it, we're not depending on them to acknowledge it. But we want to make sure that all our family know that yes, especially Trinidad, because they did ask the question, that we did when we went to Geneva. In Geneva, we touched on. Unfortunately, I don't know if everyone tuned in. I know a lot of people missed that broadcast. We touched on Geneva and the Geneva Convention and the UN and the expert mechanism of indigenous peoples that we sat at. We talked to James and I, who was the special rapporteur of indigenous people appointed by the UN to look into indigenous injustices and cases worldwide, and he traveled in May of this year to the U.S. We didn't contact him until recently. We found out about him and that special rapporteur. He's the one that was responsible for initiating a lot of the declarations, the articles in the Declaration of the Indigenous People. And I hope everyone has read that, because that declaration is reference to you, our nation. There's other conventions that are in reference to our president, such as the internationally the Convention of Internationally Protected Persons, and you have to read into that as well, so you'll understand that our president is an internationally protected person. The U.S. has violated several of his rights due to their commitment to these various conventions and various declarations, which we can get into. But as you can see, it's a lot of legal terminology. It's a lot of work that's being done, and we want to make, if we don't get off course, then we can go into topics back and forth, but we're definitely going to cover everything. I think we designated this particular hours to Ghana, and that part of it, I wanted to read you that petition, and I also want to read you. So we'll get back to the UN, brother. Don't fret at all. We'll touch on that and go over what was missed So if you have any particular questions about it, we'll touch over it. But we're going to continue with Ghana for now, for the next few minutes, because I want to read to you the petitions that was presented. I mean, the petitions that the U.S. prisoners in Ghana petitioned, which we was responsible for as well. We went to Ghana, went to the prisons, and we found these U.S. citizens. And there's quite a bit of them. And they were, everyone is happy that we are in talks. Everyone that we've talked to, and I personally talked to these individuals. We personally have these letters. So this is not speculation. It's called Nsawam's Women's Prison there. And we have a petition by the name, we have 3 petitioners from these females. They are and we're in contact with their family members, just as well as we're in contact with the Ghanaian prisoners and the U.S. family members. One of their names, female, her name is Joanne Gabriel. And she says, and we hired this attorney by the name of Mr. Obord, for Joanne Gabriel. We paid from our nations, from our funds, to show you where a lot of the legal funds are going, and a lot of it, which we're not even going to address that. We'll address that later. But we make sure we don't put any pressure on our nation. We found we paid these young ladies attorney, find out that these convicted prisoners, U.S. prisoners in Ghana, 3 of them are female. We have 3 males and 3 females. And her petition, I sat down with them. Her name is Joanne Gabriel, and it says, we act on behalf of Joanne Gabriel, who is a convict prisoner at the Nsawam female prisons. We hold her instructions to request you on her behalf, as per the attached affidavit, to facilitate her transfer to the United States prisons to enable her to serve the residue of her prison term. This request is made under Section 10.2 of the Transfer of Convicted Person Act 2007, Act 743. This provision allows the applicant to seek your assistance to be transferred to her home country to continue the residue of the jail term. As solicitors for the applicant herein, we humbly pray that you facilitate her transfer to the United States of America. We are counting on your assistance. Thank you. You are assigned solicitors for the applicant. And of course, she states she's an American citizen. When she was born, her arrest 2009, September 9th. She was convicted on 2011 for narcotics offenses. She's living in Nsawam prison. She's been jailed for 10 years. And she wishes to be transferred to her home country. And that she's informing her, the courts of her consent to be transferred. So pardon me, my attention is being okay. She's informing the government to the consent of her transfer. So we have this one, and all of the other ones read the same. Another one application is from a petition is from Carmelo Tony, and the other petition is from Abner Serwa. So there you have it, family. We have, and the other guys, those petitions are not in front of me. They're on my computer. I never printed those out. But those, we have the men as well. Or they're not in this folder. I printed them out, but they're not in this folder. So we have the 3 females and 3 men. And all 3 of them petitioned to the Ghanaian government and the U.S. So this, because of our work communicating with these prisoners, we encouraged them to petition. They were all in agreement. The lawyers were hired for the agreement. We contacted Ghanaian prisoners Not only did we contact Ghanaian prisoners in the U.S., we've contacted hundreds of African nationals that requested the same thing, and the brothers that are part of our lodge that have committed to the work of communicating. I didn't personally do it myself. It was an initiated project to get the petitions to make sure that we had the supporting documents and all for the governments to engage without any unnecessary pressure. We figured that the pressure of one person petitioning, if we added the other petitioners as well, that it will affect in the international community as a joint effort and a unified effort, it will go smoothly. So this is where we are with that, and I hope that you are well informed and understand clearly the objective of our petition and objective of the transfer, and the long work, hard work and hours that it took to get to this point where, as we established before, that the years prior to this, we read a letter from the Ghanaian government, and we'll go over it again. Well, in a few minutes, 8 minutes, we'll be playing the chants. But the Ghanaian government did acknowledge our father as a Ghanaian lineage, and they accepted the duty to effectively assist him, as we read right here, letter dated April 9th from the Attorney General Department of the Ghanaian government. Ghana seeks, as it states, like all other states, seeks to guard and protect all its citizens, both within and outside its boundaries. It says Dr. Malachi York has asserted that he is a Ghanaian. However, the mere assertion is not enough to verify his citizenship. We need further particulars, which we did. We gave them the particulars, and this is what the long process was, giving the government the particulars that they needed to confirm and move on his behalf as an entire government. They acknowledged that giving them these further particulars, it will provide a foundation which Ghana could make a legal representation to the United States government on the behalf of Dr. Malachi York. Again, having gone through the request, it is not too clear whether Dr. York seeks to be transferred to Ghana as a prisoner to serve out the rest of his sentence in Ghana. This should be stated clearly if that is his position. And it was stated clearly that is his position. Ghana does not presently have a prisoner transfer agreement with the United States of America. Our Prisoner Transfer Act mandates the existence of a bilateral agreement. And this was in 2009. Once we recognized that they did need a bilateral agreement, then that's when we began to initiate the bilateral agreement, and it took several departments of their government for this treaty request to move through. And one department was the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And the Foreign Affairs eventually did concede to the request, and it was acknowledged in a letter on February 25th, 2012. So it actually took about 2 years for it to move from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the Ministries of Justice. It took 2 years from that date of that letter, 2009, to move into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in February of 2011 on the 25th, where the Ministries of Justice wrote us and said, we have written to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is responsible for initiating international agreements on the behalf of the Republic of Ghana, to initiate a bilateral agreement with the U.S. for the purpose of sending and receiving convicts between the two countries. Once the Ministry of Foreign Affairs acknowledged that the government was in agreement with the engagement of the bilateral agreement, then we found out that the U.S. didn't engage, that they would engage only if Ghana engaged in the treaty of the Treaty 112, which is a part of the Council of Europe. So from then, we got the supporting documents, of course, which we just read from the Ghanaian petitioners in the U.S. and the U.S. petitioners in Ghana, to support it from both coasts, to make sure that both governments went ahead and we took the pressure off of Ghana because there was more pressure on Ghana by petitioning for one person, our president, Dr. Malachi York, as opposed to them petitioning for several others, which made it easier for Ghana to say, okay, this is something we want to do in the interest of our nationals. So there you have it. I mean, that's for Ghana. There's more to it, which we'll address after the chats. We'll be playing in 3 minutes. It's a lot, but I just want to make sure that our family is clear on it. And at this point, you can, we will be playing the chants, but we want to make sure in these next 3 minutes that you have the opportunity to just make sure you send out a text or email to the rest of the family. If Trinidad is listening, get Barbados on, get Jamaica on, get Canada on. I hope Canada as well. I want to give a shout out to my brother Sean up there, who's been very influential in unifying the family, and the family up there in Canada who've been instrumental. I spoke to Canada a few weeks ago, and I want to let them know that it's a lot of love that's coming from the government of the United Nuwaupian Nation to Canada, to all of our nation's members. We want to make sure that we all are doing what our father, our president, Mumkak, Khamam, Aaqab, Chief Black Eagle, His Excellency Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, to make sure that we fight with all we have in the name of love and unity. So again, just send out that quick message, and we are going to play the chants of our beloved 24 elders, our Supreme Council of 24 elders here on our station. We want to make sure that our family chant together in unity as we start in about 2 minutes. I know it's different time zones, and we'll address that question as well. Brother from the UK asks that we have a set time where the world, our nation who is exiled, who is around the world, chant at the same time, and I think it's an excellent idea. It's unified. The power of that chant and our tones vibrating throughout the universe, causing our ancestors in several abodes, and in the spiritual abode, they can hear us tuned in, and toned together, where we are chanting the chants that Pamanzal gave us. So we'll be starting Pa Ranumat, together with love and unity. As we continue this legal update, we'll continue afterwards, and to continue with Ghana, and we'll recap the United Nations visit, the UN visit. So make sure you get everyone involved that missed Thursday and Friday. We'll recap as long as we need to, as long as y'all want to listen. We can build and fill everyone's hearts and minds up with where we are, so you can see visually and clearly our Father's freedom, and know whatever angle he's coming out, that his freedom is inevitable. All right, so enjoy the chants, and let's put our spiritual powers and nine mind at work. Wow, that was wonderful. It's always great. The energy around the world is felt at our chants. Pa Ranumat. Now we have some very good questions. We'll pick up where we left off. I'm just enjoying that unity right there. It was just a good feeling to know that people worldwide were chanting together, our nation unified, and it's time for that. It's really time. It's been time. But as long as we keep this going, we'll be on one accord, and everyone will be explaining and teaching and informing others of our president's freedom at the same time. We'll be all on the same page, with the same visualization in our mind's eye, and it's clear to everyone. And I think this is at this time it's inevitable that we have to do this if we are to accomplish freeing him. We have to do it. It's just without a choice. So let's look at it as without a choice and make sure that we accomplish it. And we got some quite a few people friended me on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook long, but I just started recently to stay connected with the family. Everyone say Facebook is where a lot of Nuwaupians are. Social media. I know it's I know it's big, so I decided to go ahead and put myself on there. So I'm under Nuwaupian, and again, family, let's stay connected, whatever means we can. There's a few questions that came in. I thought one question was very good, from a sister Angela Ambrose. The question that came in under international law: are there penalties applied to countries that hold foreign prisoners without notifying their respective embassies? If there are any penalties, what are they? Now, what's interesting is that I think you're seeing what initially we all saw once we found out that. And I'm going to tell you how it started, because we expressed it before, but I'm not sure how clear it was to everyone that initially we were saying, okay, let's initially, sorry, the music came on. Initially, the request, when we decided to get the support of Ghanaians, because we knew that the prisoner transfer, we wanted to support Ghana and not put them on a spot with just having to commit to the international community that they wanted to engage in this treaty with just one prisoner. So I decided, well, let's get other Ghanaian prisoners involved so it would assist Ghana. And that, of course, that makes sense. So they can present, like, listen, we have 10, 20, 30 Ghanaians in the U.S. that we would like to transfer, inclusive, of course, where our president is definitely first on the list, because he was the one initiating. We were the one initiating it through him. He was the first Ghanaian that even came to the U.S., Ghanaian descendant, that even presented his petition to the U.S., to Ghana. So it's really everything that we're doing is precedence. It's creating precedence in the international community. So we said, okay, well, let's make sure that we do our part in helping Ghana in doing the research and finding out where these Ghanaian prisoners were. We found out there's a Ghanaian prisoner who was accused of rape in California. You can look his case up. And he got a certain amount of time, and he had people who were supporting him in efforts. But I don't think the idea of the transfer really took off. I don't know why no one looked into it, but we did, and so Ghana acknowledged, like, okay, this is our first request, and it'll be good. The Ghanaian government expressed that the U.S. did come to them before, but at the time Ghana wasn't ready for the transfer. But now, once Dr. Malachi York, our president chief, Mumkak, came forth and with what his legal team did, then so we said, okay, let's contact Ghanaians. And what we found out that that there were other African prisoners. A lot of them. Excuse me. Something's in my throat. A lot of them. A lot of African nationals we had the list, we requested the list, and they were sending us other African nationals. And we were writing them and contacted them, and they were like, yeah, my rights been violated. I haven't talked to my embassy. And what in international law, to answer the sister's question, in international law and the Geneva Convention of Diplomatic Relations, that there is an international law that requires any state, any country, state, that incarcerates foreign nationals, that they immediately have to contact their descending country of the imprisonment of one of their nationals. Because what happens is that that country can assist that prisoner in various ways. And actually, I was about to read one of the petition that we got together once we found out that all of these foreign nationals were Africans, especially a vast amount of discrimination in the judicial system in reference to foreign nationals. There were Somalians, Libyans, and an amazing amount of Liberians, and we have at least 15 Liberians that have contacted us that have said, yeah, definitely, I would love to for Liberia to engage in a prisoner transfer, which brought in another angle, because what Liberia has to recognize and realize is that because the U.S. did not let them know that their foreign nationals were incarcerated, that they have the ability to bring a case against the U.S. in international court, which we discussed before Paraguay did with one of their nationals. The 4 cases that was brought against the U.S. in international court, 3 of them were foreign national cases, where the U.S. repeatedly, discriminatively, and ignored international law, that if the international law, they infringed upon these countries' rights of contacting their foreign nationals. Now, when you don't contact their foreign nationals, when these prisoners go to trial or convicted because of the distance, the cultural distinctiveness, the cultural differences, the legal differences, meaning the legalities of the case, the laws of this country may be totally different from the laws of another country, of the foreign national. That foreign national may be is accustomed to the laws of his country, and he may be ignorant of all the laws of the United States. And if that foreign national does not have contact with that embassy, his rights are violated, because that embassy can assist him legally with legal counsel in his criminal proceedings. That embassy may also help as far as presenting evidence in evidentiary hearings, as far as presenting witnesses, whatever counselor help that foreign national is entitled to, the U.S. government has to inform that country of his imprisonment, incarceration, and in custody. And in booking, in most of the prisons and jails in the United States and other nations, it's taught to those prison officials that they have to immediately contact the embassy. And if they don't, it is a violation of international law. And you can look it up in the Convention of the Geneva Convention of Diplomatic Relations in 6263, where you can look that up and find out what and I have them right here, where it's necessary. It is a law, and that these countries have the ability to bring a case in the international court, the same place that we brought a case against the U.S. an International Court of Justice, cases with Liberia, Ghana, Sierra Leone. We have petitions from Sierra Leone right in front of us, right in our filings. We have petitions from Somalia. We have petitioners from Nigeria. We have petitioners from Ghana. We have petitions from Libya. We have petitions from Morocco. We have petitioners from Mauritania. We have petitioners from the Congo. We have petitioners from Eritrea and several other African countries. Not that we're going to do, they already wrote us. We have the same petition we just read to you from a Ghanaian. We've contacted nationals all over the country that they sent their petitions in. So we are a unified front to let the world know, with the cooperation of these nations, that you have nationals here that the U.S. has violated the U.S. has violated international laws. And with that vast amount of violations, each one of those countries can bring a case against the U.S. and seek reparations, and seek redress, and seek the decision by the international court that will establish a status quo ante, which is to put or bring the situation back to how it originally was before the violation, meaning that in international court, the court can establish that because of the violations of this foreign national, that everything after the violation of international laws, the breaching of the international obligation, anything from that point, any criminal proceeding, any evidentiary hearing is void. Anything that took place after the violation, the moment they put their handcuffs on there, and it literally says in the Geneva Convention of Diplomatic Relations, it says that the state that incarcerated a foreign national has to without delay contact that state that their national is incarcerated. And some of these guys and girls, sisters and brothers, have been incarcerated 10 and 15 years, 27 years for some of them, and have never had contact with their government. And it's really a sad, sad situation. And this is the leverage that we have. And we're putting together paperwork right now, and that's why our father, our president, says we have them by the head, because we have so much. This is incumbent that we have to stay involved in communicating and support in this fight, because we have so much against them that they cannot get around what we're doing. Liberia can bring. We have Liberia. What's this Liberian? There's a Liberian. What is his name? A petitioner. I had him in front of me. I hope I didn't make. A Liberian petitioner who's by the name of hold on, please. His name is Augustine Gittins, and he's out of Ohio. Several Liberians have wrote with the same petition, and one of their petitions is the violations of the rights of foreign nationals. And he's making the claim since the day he's been incarcerated for 20 years. He's from Monrovia. And he's made the claim since the day of his detention until this day, the date of this submitted petition as an incarcerated foreign national, in accordance to Article 36, subparagraph 1b of the Vienna Convention of Council of Relations, it requires the competent authorities of a state party, such as the United States of America, in this case, to advise without delay a foreign national such as himself, Augustine Gittins, or any other African national whom authorities of the United States arrested, detained, or committed to custody of their rights without delay to have consular correspondence, consular visits for legal representation and communication. The competent United States detaining authorities and judicial personnel did not and has not informed myself of any of my rights as a detained foreign national, nor was I informed of my right to contact my consulate, nor was my consulate informed of my detention, incarceration, nor the fact of my person being committed to prison custody. And my consulate has neither knowledge of my whereabouts nor any indication that one of their nationals, such as myself, is in custody of the United States of America authorities. These rights were omitted from any information accessible to myself in any form in all proceedings held against me in the United States domestic courts. The violations of these rights in absence of consular advice has caused myself to make objectively unreasonable decisions during my criminal proceedings against me. Consular assistance would have included advice on cultural and legal differences between the United States and my home country, appropriate legal counsel, identifying and communication with family members who could provide assistance and information, supplying documents, supplying records, documents, collecting and presenting mitigation evidence, at necessary hearings and other evidence that in my defense would have affected the criminal proceedings against me. I also make the claim that my legal counsel did not inform me of my consular rights to date, and the violation of my rights have impacted the outcome of all legal proceedings against me. And it goes into, therefore, he's acknowledging the following: the international obligation to ensure that the consulate of Augustine Gittins can communicate with and assist its arrested national prior to trial. Its failure to provide the notifications required by Article 36, subparagraph 1 of the Vienna Convention. Y'all can look that up. It's Article 36, subparagraph 1 of the Vienna Convention, has effectively prevented consulate from exercising its right to carry out consular functions pursuant to Articles 5 and 36 of the Convention. The United States, therefore, has violated its current and is currently violating the foregoing obligations. So this goes into it, and he goes into saying in his petition. Furthermore, I, Augustine Gittins, upon the facts submitted herein, I respectively request and implore that the government and embassy of Liberia to institute proceedings against the United States within the scope of the International Court of Justice for the above-mentioned violations of the international responsibility and obligations. This petition is willfully signed and submitted to the Consulate Embassy of Liberia through the government of the United Nuwaupian Nation and the African Union and African Diaspora Forum. Signature, Augustine Gittins, 6/18/2012. So as you can see, family, our fight is strong. This is really not a joke on the international court, and the U.S. knows that they violated these foreign national rights for decades. Not just one or two. We've had surmounting amount of evidence against the U.S. for their discrimination against African nationals. So we want to make sure that you know that it's not just one fight with Ghana. We have other countries that we found out through our government, the United Nuwaupian Nation, that we found out through Panatharu and with our assistance in reaching out to them, that they exposed the U.S.'s violations on multiple levels. We even had Mexican nationals contacting our government to say we were violated too. We would like our government to bring a case against the U.S. and international courts as well. So the involvement of our nation in fighting is not just one or two, violations against this particular African national, but we have several countries that we are in contact with to let them know. Not only Liberia did they violate your diplomat that you appointed as diplomat, Dr. Malachi York, but you have also Augustine Gittins. Let me read some of the other ones to you. We have a petition from Abdullah Ben Hamid, 2 petitions from him. We have a petition from Augustine Gittins we just read. We have petitions from Holy Idi. We have a petition from a request, the same petition to bring proceedings against the U.S. We have one from John Benton St. Fleur. He's from Port-au-Prince, Haiti. So we have Haitian prisoners that have reached out to our government. We also have, read this one. That's the same brother. Daniel R. Potapa. He sent the petition. He's incarcerated in Pennsylvania. We have a petition from Adonye Festus L.A. He's incarcerated in Texas, Fort Stockton. Webster Cooper, he's incarcerated in the D.C. unit in Ohomie, Oklahoma. He has 2 petitions, same petitions we just read. Samuel Oley, he's incarcerated in Midway, Texas, Ferguson unit. We have petitions from him. We have 2 petitions from Kamada Mahmoudou He's a Liberian. He's incarcerated in Maryland, Pennsylvania. We have 2 petitions from him. We have petitions from Ding Ajak, who is incarcerated in Salt Lake County Metro Jail. We have 2 petitions from him. Thomas Lenore, Ranford, Florida. We have 2 petitions from him. We have petitions from Jayward Lariza. He's incarcerated in Avon Park Correctional Institution. We have 2 petitions from him. Horatio Nemley, he's incarcerated in Wayne, Pennsylvania. We have petitions from him. Edward Wilmot, he's incarcerated in Robinson, Illinois. Petitions from him. James T. Say, Huntington Park, we have petitions from him, 2 petitions. Demolia Wele, he's Nigerian. We have petitions from him. He's incarcerated Albion, Pennsylvania at Unit Side 10745, Route 18. We have petitions from him. We have petitions from Tio Gornelli. He's a Nigerian as well, in Albion, Pennsylvania. Daniel Garang, he's in petitions from him too. Same ones, violation of rights of foreign national, and a petition to his government for the transfer treaty, Treaty 112. He's incarcerated in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. O'Shane Lawson, he's incarcerated in Liberty Correctional Institute, Bristol, Florida. Abdul Rahman, he's incarcerated in Ohio, and they're still coming. So don't think that this fight is small, and that's why it's important that all of us know what's going on. That the master wants. Our president, he wants everyone to know what's going on and stand up to show. Once we stand up, we're not standing up on a small scale. The scales of justice the scales of justice balanced on our end have tipped their scale over. It's over with. The justice, the scales of justice, and the good fight that our master is talking about is definitely on our side. We have more than enough ammunition, so to speak, in the courts and to show the violations of the U.S. with all of these countries' support and us confirming with these countries that they're foreign nationals, and we have their petitions. They inevitably have to support, and they make the possibility of them bringing a case against the U.S. because of our efforts. So not only is the U.S. going to have a case brought against them by the United Nuwaupian Nation, but the possibility of the case coming from Nigeria about their foreign nationals and a violation of international law in the Geneva Convention in Articles 36, the Geneva Convention of 1963 and 62, violations there. Violations against Liberia for their foreign nationals not having contact with their government upon incarceration without delay. Violations, international laws violated there. Violations for Somalians being incarcerated without speaking with their embassies and consular relations. Violations against with Nigerians and Sierra Leoneans and Eritreans. We have all of that documentation right here in front of us. All of it that we need. So it's definitely about us. So I appreciate that question from the sister. And hope that answered your question. We had a few more questions I want to address that was sent in reference to the ledgers. A question from Shepses Sin Menez. He had a question about the ledger. Now we want to let people know with the email that was just sent out today, you can forward it, please. The ledger is there attached. Please, children. Our president said children are people too. Initially, the update said 13 and above, but he corrected it and said no, children as well. So if you do have children, just they're to sign the ledger. They can sign their name and help assist them in putting their name down there. I'm sure most children at certain age, that's the first thing they learn, to sign their name. Explain to them that what they're signing to, because the laws of their nations is a certain age, but our nation is children are people too, and they need to. The world needs to know that these children are victims as well, and they have acknowledged their president, sitting president, constitutionally seated president, and that he needs to be amongst his nation. So if you don't worry about notarizing. We do have our seal and stamp that our president approved, and he said that once he received it and saw it, he was very happy. It almost brought tears to his eyes because of the gold seal of our nation that goes on the ledgers, and the stamp that goes on the ledgers that's being filed in his government. So we want to eliminate, whatever emails, some ridiculous emails going out about it's just dumb. I mean, it's just utterly dumb. Nuwaupians know the dumbness and the crap. We're not even going to give them our forum to address that silliness. Emails going out about COINTELPRO and the ledgers or whatever they think they are. It doesn't matter. It's not for you anyway. So be gone. Just get out of our way. Get out of our business. So you can send the ledgers. The question is, do they need to be notarized, or can they just be filled in and sent off? Yes, they can. Fill the ledgers in, send the ledgers into, just send them to the embassy. They come right here. A suggestion from Canada came that we should send acknowledgement of received mails, and we will. We're sorry if we hadn't sent any return mail, but if you sent it to 8:30, we definitely have received it, and we want to thank all participants, all our nation's members, for doing this on the behalf of Mumkak, our president, Dr. Malachi, ZK York. He's happy about it, and he's definitely. We still haven't reached our. That was a question as well. No, we haven't reached our 30,000 limit. Don't give up. Stop slowing up on our projects. Don't slow up. We have a week or 2, 3 weeks strong, and then we slow up. We can't do that. We slow up and we get complacent. We fall back. We're not crossed the finish line yet. Don't pass your competition on the track, and then you don't look back to see where they are. You don't look towards the finish line to cross it effectively. It's like the turtle and the hare. I'm sure you've heard that old fable where the hare got complacent. We thought we were across the finish line, and the turtle kept consistent and persistent and was determined and went at a steady pace. With that steady pace of consistency, step by step, build by build, that's what we're doing. We're staying consistent in the fight. As you can see, much work has been done, contrary to Negroes out there saying that no work has been done. You can see my works and our works on this end, and the family on this end. And I know there's distant Nuwaupians. We are still working together. We're still family. I know it may seem as though it's a little distant, or it may seem because of the communication, but don't let that fret. We're still working, and we need the support from the nation worldwide. And that's what our Father's saying: stand up and fight, and whatever way you can fight. Now I know there's many people that says, well, how can I help? And there's ways they can help, but which we'll address. I'm gonna finish with this question though. Of course, there's no age limit. This brother's question: are Nuwaupian parents to fill forms in for their children too young to write, or do they have to be old enough to fill out the forms by themselves? Of course, if they're too young, you can fill out the form and just send it in. Just put their age and acknowledgement of an illegal guardian. You can attach that. You can fill it next to legal guardian, your name, a parental custodian, your name, or whatever title you have with the underage or the child that's too young to fill it out. So just make sure that and yes, I know in the UK there's notaries that cost. I want to address that. If you don't notarize it, or if you don't have the funds to notarize, you don't have to notarize it. In fact, we suggest our government can notarize it. We know who you are, so our notaries are official. Here we have an official stamp, notarized with our ledgers, with our crest on there, and so we want to make sure that everyone knows that. Just forward the ledgers, because some people didn't receive them. They may have, how you get an email, you may get an email, get 5 emails, and you don't see it. So some people haven't seen it. So it doesn't matter. Just forward it out, send it out on your own accord every day if you have to, so we can reach that mark of 30,000. They were coming in effectively for days. I think people thought that the 26th was the deadline, so they stopped sending them in. But no, let's stay encouraged to continue. Let me check the email really quick to see if there are any other questions. I think few Facebook questions. No, that's friends. Okay. Hopefully I answered all of the questions. So I addressed the ledgers, making sure we do a recap. I think we may have to. It's 10 o'clock. I wanted to address the radio station and the support of the family members on the radio station. And sometimes, yeah, it may be offline because of just technical difficulties, but know that we are here. The radio station is will be upgraded. The name, everything will be modified, and we will have. It will be. It's of course UNNradio.com. So you could type in WNW Radio. It's not effective yet. It will be directed, and then the modified site will be up. But as of now, for those, of course, that you see the type of work that it takes, you see the traveling that that I do, and I don't ask for finances from the family, because over the years a lot of people has used that as a way to say it's about money. It's about and it's not. It's not about money, but it is about money. It's not about money in the sense that that's not the goal or the agenda of the radio station or the communication. It's what to express to the family the work that's been done, and I hope you can see for your own on your own the documentation, the explanation of Ghana, the United Nations, our good fight, indigenous status, our declarations, the paperwork, the filings. The intervention, and we talked about the intervention that was placed on the UN's floor on Thursday. We discussed it. We touched on it Thursday and Friday on how it was a speech read, the speech that was read at the United Nations, right? It was read at the expert mechanism on the rights of indigenous people. There was a speech read on the behalf of our president, and expressed on the behalf of the Yamasee tribe of Native American Wichita, Mound Builder, Shoshone Creek Nation, and the violations of the U.S. against us, the forcible transferring of our tribe off of our land. We had all of those. That was read at the floor, and it was just the effect of it. It caused a lot of nations to address us after the session was over. They got information from us. They wanted to look into the case. They wanted to publish the speech. They wanted to follow up on what was going on in the as far as the next step and what we planned on doing. We were the only dark-skinned original indigenous people up there. A lot of the Caucasus mixed seed really who claim indigenous were really trying to perpetrate their status, but benefit from the indigenous people's status in the international community. In other words, of course, the Caucasus and him tying into the vine and trying to supplant the indigenous people all over the world and pass themselves as the originals, which he always does. And it was definitely evident when we walked into room 23 at the UN headquarters in Geneva. And we walked in and we saw all of these Caucasians sitting there claiming to be indigenous. And I'm sitting there, outside of the African indigenous, we had one or two brothers from the Congo who were there representing the Thai tribes of the Congolese families, indigenous tribes who are being destroyed. Their culture is being destroyed as well because of forestation and marginalization of the government eliminating and forcibly causing the indigenous people to assimilate. So there were one or two, but the majority of, I say 99% of the people are really Caucasus. They were just Caucasus. They're perpetrators. So their fight was not effective because you had the two forces within them, the small amount of indigenous blood. They weren't fighting at the Yamasee fort. You have to remember that Yamasee fought in 1715. If you look it up, it was one of the most brutal uprisings of Native Americans in U.S. history and Native American history. We actually fought and destroyed the British, and we were not assimilating, and we were the only tribes that didn't mix in, like the Navajo tribes who allowed the Europeans to mix in and gave them tribal privileges. We didn't do that. And it's the same seed that came out of Ghana, the Yamasee, out of the Ashanti Kingdom and the Ewe and the Khan tribe that fought against the British there. The same seed that came from the Dongolawe or the Dongala, the Sudanese seed that traveled across the Sahara, migrating to West Africa and settled into Mali and the old Ghana Kingdom, it's the same seed that fought against the British when El Mahdi defeated the British with the colonels there. I think one was Williams, and Gordon Pasha defeated them in 1800s. The same seed. So with that same bloodline that's fighting now. And you have to acknowledge that bloodline and realize that we are on the front line again, but it's a different type of fight, though they do have a chief incarcerated and is attempting to kill him like they did historically in the patterns of the past. They come against our tribe, and because we don't assimilate and allow them to control our government and suppress our rulership, they attempt to annihilate us. And now that we are fighting again, we have to unify as we did before. So that's why our president is saying, people stand up. And I'm not up here on my own accord. I'm not on this station on my own accord. I'm not getting in front of people and traveling the world on my own accord. This is not me. People that know me, I'm not, several people know me. I'm not sure who does, but I'm trying to share and do what our master says, period. He gives us orders. That's all Nuwaupians. Most Nuwaupians around the world know that when our master says do something, they just follow orders. So we want to share that, that love, and share that in the love of the fight, the love of the good fight. So they did pass themselves off in the UN, and when we gave our speech, it was effective. They know who we are. We did place it on record. Our father was very pleased with it being placed on record. The U.S. was there. They couldn't look us in the eye after we stated what we stated. We were there for a week. And it was very, type of experience. I'm not sure the word I can use to express the experience, but it was a great feeling to be up there. And I was given the name Hawkeye. That's my tribal native name, Hawkeye. Master said that's the name he gave me, and I take it with honor. And to be able to see what's going on and rub shoulders in the international community. And of course, we did pass out books there, so there are Nuwaupians made in the UN now, and we have connections there. And it's just continuing the fight and moving forward. I don't want to get long-winded. It's been about 3 hours. I'm just going out my way to make sure that the family is well informed. And I hope that I'm doing the best job that I can. People have said it, and I appreciate the support. If you do want to support in any kind of way, on our station, we will be uploading. Now, there's been requests from the family about the classes. There's a lot of classes. Family, please pay attention to this. There's a lot of classes that our father laid out that you may find online, but they're scattered, that he taught that people don't have access to. Actually, there's hundreds of classes that people don't have access to. And worldwide, such as the Set the Record Straight series, our own Yamasee Constitution. We were already here. These are classes that came out in the 90s and in the early 2000s. We had classes. I will read some of those classes to you that we do have available. I don't know if y'all know this on this station. As you can see, of course, everything is moving to the digital and downloading. So what we made available on this site, and we'll be making more of them available. There's several, for instance,
Our Constitution was done in 97. That was a class in 1997. We have classes, The Man the Bible God Feared, Your Rights, Who Are the Real Caucasians, Bible Stories, How Can I Prove the Most High Existence, Hit My Initiation, Set the Record Straight. Now this was a whole series of classes, Factology versus Theology, that will be made available to the family. And they can be downloaded in the download section. And then when you go to the download section of the site, it's no cost to go to the download section. You'll see a few classes that's been posted. But there'll be actually eventually close to 300 classes that's going to be available. 300 classes from every school that our master teacher taught. And we're just making this available to the family so they can have access to your president's doctrine that Nuwaupians love and we live by. And a lot of the affirmation where you hear it from his mouth about your sovereignty, our sovereignty, how we will eventually go to the international courts, how we will have to stand up, and he tells us don't punk out. You'll be able to get those classes on this site. In the download section, you'll see it scrolling across the screen. All you have to do is click it, and you'll see how those classes will be made available. As you can see, there's a lot of there's legal, of course, finances. We're traveling. The brothers of our lodge, they contribute. We all contribute. I put out a lot of money for the fight, and we all sacrifice. But we don't want we getting out of the pattern of just asking our family for money for donations. That's not what we do. We have bookstores. We do have a bookstore here, so let you know there is a bookstore here. Our bookstore is going online, and you will for the audio classes you'll be able to purchase the classes for $5 US. Any one of the classes you'll be able to get, as well as music and Thought Nuwaupian. It can be downloaded right to your computer, where you can listen to any of the older classes that you have missed in our walks with our master. So I just wanted you to know that if you want to support, that will be a way to support. We're not asking you to mail in any money. We're not asking you to donate. If that is the way you want to support, to purchase a class where you can hear our Father teach, and we made the archives accessible to our nation, and it's needed. There's a lot of doctrine scattered abroad in different sites in different places. We want to make sure that you have access to it immediately. And if you have any requests for any classes to be posted for download, you can do that. We have Little Green Men 1 and 2, My Initiation, Set the Record Straight, Dr. Malachi York, Are You a Christian? Let's see. We have the Chief Black Eagle, Owls of Patmos. Those will be available. So we just want to make the classes available, and you get something for your contribution to the fight. For those that want to contribute and help, that helps assist in the travels and the foregoing legal fight that we have in front of us. And I just want to let you know that that's how you can support, as well as informing others to tune in, so we can continue to legally update the family. So I just wanted to put that on record, and if everyone is satisfied with that, then I'm open to feedback and suggestions. We can present. We are being aired from the Embassy of the United Nuwaupian Nation. I am the Ambassador Duswa York, appointed by Mumkak, Khamam, Aaqab, our president. I did speak with him again. I wanted to let you know I spoke with him last Wednesday, and he was very excited to hear about what was put on record. He was very excited to hear that, and it makes me feel good that we can still put a smile on his face even after 11 years. He said in a visit he feels good because he spoke. I spoke to him Wednesday and let him know about the United Nations. And remember, this was a precedent. This is the first time us as a nation was able to present our case to the world.
literally, it was so dynamic. Of course, I represented, and it was translated into 23 languages. And it was successful. It wasn't very successful because he's still incarcerated. It's not something of praise, but it's work that has been done. It's not something that's for us to get complacent and say, yeah, we made it to the UN. No, though we did, we still have connection with the Human Rights Council. We still have a lot of work to do until those doors open. So we want to make sure that, yeah, we did hurdle an obstacle. Panathardo is making a way. We have to show that we're going to be consistently unified and consistently stay in touch and stay tuned with the chants. We're going to play the chants. Of course, I'm doing this. I'm the only one running the station. I'll take volunteers. Anyone in Atlanta want to help assist with the station or assist legally at the embassy, we're more than welcome. It's not a one-man show here. Everyone should get involved. So you have any suggestions, I'm open to it. I would love to have volunteers that will come and do, present a show like we did before. We have a studio here where the family members, our nation would like to advertise or speak to the family. I mean, this is our own outlet, and as you can see, it's very resourceful as far as legal work. And I hope that you're getting, more than enough fulfillment as far as the legalities and everyone is on the same page with the fight. And that's the main purpose, that fight, we stay connected mentally with this fight, because that's our goal. So I'm going to cease to talk now unless there's any questions. There's a question that came in from I know this brother. Let me see. Right. Okay. That was a there was a question that came in. There was a question that came in, or a statement more so. If we don't get 30,000 ledgers, the proof, yes. The proof of the 30,000 ledgers is in the newspaper. It's a newspaper that stated 30,000 people came to Sabres Day in 1997. So that's definitely a good point, and I appreciate you sending that, brother, to make it be known that we do have proof of 30,000. But that's why our president mentioned that, because they documented 30,000. So we want to let them know, yes, we have 30,000, but we really have more. But because you put it in your paper and you're verifying that you did these atrocities to us, then you already established that there's 30,000 victims. So we want to make sure that's clear with the with our record and paper trail. So again, family, I appreciate the love, appreciate you tuning in. Hold on, there's some more questions coming in. Let me make sure. That I'm not missing anyone or anything that I need to address, that we can address now. Because I want to be able to, I want everyone to leave to log off satisfied and to say, know that I did, and I know that I've done my job effectively to get everyone, and I can tell the master, yes, Pop, this is, talk to the people, this is what's going on, everyone is updated. I would like to be able to tell them that. So, of course, there's no questions coming in. So, enjoy the night, the shadow. There will be classes being played tonight. A lot of the classes, and cultural music. Again, we apologize for the station going down yesterday. Sometimes it goes offline, not due to our issues. But if you find yourself tuning in and the class and the site is not on, please feel free to check an email or what have you. I'll definitely text or whatever. I'll definitely check and keep a tech support. I try to be different places, different times, but it's difficult. Again, family, we appreciate the love, the unity. Let's stay strong. Any documentation you want to contribute, send an email. Anything you find that can be effective and useful in the fight for Pamanzao, send an email. No matter where you are just as important as anyone. You're just as important as any one of us in the government. We are of a service. I want to emphasize that. I'm of a servant to the nation. That's my job. I'm here to be of a service to all, and I would like to be used in that manner.
If you need me for anything, for assistance as far as communication, questions, I'm up most of the night. I'm working most of the day on this. And so just let's all stay involved. And I appreciate the love and the concern. And let's get him out. Let's get him out immediately. Let's do what we need to do. Let's do it now, as he says. So again, I hate to leave and get off the air, but I am, and we can continue. Put our email out if y'all would like a class and you want to go. We can have doctrine classes on here. We can have questions and answer class. We can have our program set back up. It's at your request. This is your station. And if make sure you check out the downloads. There's classes that you may want to hear to help assist the master confirming the indigenous status for those that think it's something, is new. He goes into it much more in depth, as he is the Supreme Grand Master, and touches us with his tones and his great voice that charges all Nuwaupian souls worldwide. So again, I'm off the air. It's 10:15. Enjoy your shadow. I leave you in love and peace, and as a fellow brother and a fellow fighter in this mission. All right? Take care. Wadao.
Our Nuwaupian Nashad. Anuki Nuwaupian Fun.
I'm wondering when I will get back home. You see, I'm sitting here on the planet Earth looking at the stars and remembering just how far my home is from here. Even here, I entered the cosmos. My name is Melchizedek. I'm here to defeat your tricks. You spread them very thick. You created your own flick. You're sick. I'm going to melt you.